So these are some of the things that we keep on hearing in our sales career. I don't see the need for your services. We will take time and come back to you. Your services are too expensive. We are already working with your competition. We will definitely get back to you, right? What are all these? These are something that we keep on hearing on a daily basis whenever we are trying to connect with our clients, whether this is to do with a uh, when we're doing a B2C or a B2B sales as well. So whether you're selling to a corporate or you're selling to an individual, these are some things that we always keep on hearing. We as individuals also do that. So what happens is, you have your car insurance which is due. ICICI will call you up, HDFC will call you up. You just tell them, मैं आपको बताता हूँ, कल फोन कीजिएगा, आपका बहुत महंगा है, मेरा तो ऑलरेडी चल रहा है. So these are some of the things that we keep on hearing. Same is the case when we go to a B2B and we are selling to a corporate. This is something that we keep on hearing. What is all this? This is nothing but one simple line. These are just sales objections, right? It's not that he does not need it. It's just that he does not want to buy right now or commit to you right now. Here comes in our skill sets and our job, where we need to make sure that we do everything possible to understand what is actually stopping him from going ahead with you. Yeah, so that's the thing right now, which I want to touch upon and talk about it right now. Now, let's take a step back and ask ourselves, what is a sales objection? Whenever any objections are there, I see it as a positive thing. You know why? Because these are actually the buying signals that the buyer is ready to engage with you and sign up with that and sign up with you for your services. So I think that's the positive side. It is more to do of an indicate. It is more of an indication that the buyer is ready to buy, but he's just not ready to buy from you for a particular reason or multiple reasons. I think that's the real reason that we need to go further, and we need to find that real reason. And how will we find that real reason? First of all, we need to try and understand that why has this objection actually come up. So this objection usually comes up when the value proposition or the proposal that you're submitting to the client is not something which is very compelling. It is not very powerful. It is not exactly solving his problem statement. So what the thing is that your solution and his problem statement, we are not able to get a marriage of both. I think that's where these objections come up, and that's how they do it. Now, how do you go about solving this? Out there, what happens is, at times हम कोई objection सुनते हैं, we listen to some objection, and then what happens is we jump to a conclusion because we know that, oh, this will have this answer. But at that point in time, it is our responsibility to take a step back and listen. Because here comes the approach that we keep on talking about, is the consultative selling, right? Where you are probing more. What I have learned a lot and what I've observed a lot is, according to me, doctors are the best consultative sellers. Just think about it, what I said, right? आप भी सोच रहे हो कि doctor, sellers, no relation. So now I'll tell you, why did I bring up the statement of why doctors being the best consultative sellers? Whenever we visit a doctor, we say, my stomach is aching, right? He doesn't give you one medicine immediately. He'll just go back and he'll start asking those questions. Does the pain happen on the right side or on the left side? Does it happen throughout the day, or is it specifically at night? What did you eat last night? Or what did you eat 2 days before? What are some of those symptoms that you're seeing? Because then what is he actually doing? He's just trying to get deeper into the problem statement, where the real problem lies. He's trying to explore more. So and what is he trying to do is, he's trying to connect with you better. So always remember that people, they buy from people that they are able to trust, and they are able to connect better. It's not that people are buying Google services from Google because Google is the best brand in the world, or they're buying something from a Facebook because that's the best social platform in the world. Yes, they are great products, but eventually they are buying from people. And until unless they are able to connect with that person, until unless that person is able to understand the real problem statement, they will never buy from you. As I said, you might be selling the best of products in the world, but until unless you are able to connect and build that trust with the client, you will never be able to make that sale. You might make that sale, but it will be kind of a transactional thing. So that's why I feel that it's very important that we approach any sale in the consultative manner. So now the question is, how do we overcome these sales objections? So LAIR is nothing but it's an acronym. It's an acronym for listen, acknowledge, explore, and then respond. Usually what happens is we go the other way around. We start with responding. The moment we hear a question, the moment we hear an objection, because that is something that we as sales folks, we keep hearing that daily, day in and day out. Our first reaction is, let me respond. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh, this is the problem. I know I have the best solution for you. Oh, ये तो मैंने उस क्लाइंट के लिए भी किया था. उसका देखो कितना बढ़िया चल रहा है. आप भी यही कर लो. This is what happens. What happens is we just listen to the objection and we jump to respond. Now, what happens is when we do this, you're actually going ahead and you miss the opportunity to actually strengthen your business and personal relationships with the client. Because as I said a couple of minutes back, that eventually, until unless you're able to connect with that person well, the sale never happens. Trust me on that. So take this objection, the objection which he has thrown at you, to learn more about the person and their exact needs. Now, trust me, this layer might sound very simple. You might say, "Ye to hum karte hi rehte hain. We keep doing this. We listen to it also, and we respond to it as well, right?" But trust me, this is a very what should I say? Not getting that word. It's kind of a very respectful and a constructive way to actually approach our sales. You need to understand that at the end of the day, that your customer or your client is facing an issue. He's facing a problem. You need to build that empathy with him. You need to empathize with his concern. The next thing what happens is, for example, he says something. What happens is we start getting defensive. And we need to make sure that we need to avoid those kind of things where we start getting defensive about our products, about our services, about our offerings. And we need to make sure that we ignore any negative emotions which are coming, which are making us pull down or which is bringing us down at that point in time. We usually go the other way around. It's very difficult. It's easier said than done. At times, it gets difficult for me as well to go through this. But trust me, when I take a step back, when I go for any client meeting, I get to know about this, I come back, and then I try and absorb things that the client said 1, 2, 3, 4 things. And I need to make sure that this was a problem. I acknowledged it. And then let me see what can I go back and tell him about. So that's the thing. It becomes difficult at times to go ahead and address those things. But trust me, if we can just incorporate this even 50% to what we are doing, trust me, we'll be within the top 1% salespeople globally. Globally, I'm talking about, right? Now, what happens is, what do we do? What do you mean by listen? In listen, just follow the formula of the 80-20. What is this 80-20 formula? Now you'll be asking, यार अब तो मैथ्स पढ़ाने लग गए हो आप लोग 80-20 कर रहे हो 70-30 करोगे कुछ देर बाद. It's more to do with where 80% of the time the client or your customer is talking and 20% of the time you are talking. Because when he's talking, then only will you be able to understand. You need to make him open up. Trust me, here silence is your tool. Silence is the artillery that you have in your armor. That's the thing that you're looking up to. That's the thing that you need to listen to. Because when you're listening to the customer, he will give you his concerns and his objections. Let's throw away all our preconceived notions that uh that the customer की problem यही होगी, वही होगी. We just need to stay focused on what the buyer is saying and what is the business problem that he's facing that you have to address. The other thing is that we communicate verbally as well as non-verbally. We are all aware about that. Verbal communication is what we are doing right now, the what we are talking. And then there are some of those non-verbal communications, which is the body language, the way I look, the way I talk. So we need to keep an observation on those things as well, because that is where he is giving you those signals of what his exact problem statement is. And at times when we do not listen to that, we actually miss that. And the moment you miss that, you will never be able to solve the problem, and the customer will never be able to connect with you, and he will never go ahead with your services or your offering, or as a matter of fact, the consultative approach that you want to go ahead with. Very important that we know that what industry the client is operating in, what you as an organization have done for your clients in that industry, because the problems are going to be similar. Trust me on that. Because and I'm saying that from experience, because I work with all three of them: Pepsi, Coke, and Dabur. Coke is the last entrant. When we said that we are working with Pepsi, we are doing these many things, Coke started resonating, and then they started opening up. So that's the only reason why I'm saying that it's very important that we know our products, we know our clients, we know the industry where they're operating in, and the kind of problems that they are facing. This is what we're talking about, earning the right. So now, as I said, in the next stage, it's all about the acknowledgement. And in acknowledgement, the key, trust me, guys, is empathy. How do you empathize with the solution, with the situation the client is? Try and put yourselves in the client's shoes. Summarize what he said. Do a recap with him. Make them feel heard. I think just go ahead and make the statement that, oh, I can certainly understand what the concern is, right? This is what happens when we go to, for example, if I have to go and go to say a store in, say, like a Louis Philippe store. I go to a Louis Philippe store and I say that I'm looking for a shirt, right? A sales guy comes, so this shirt will look really good on you. That's one kind of a sale. The other kind of sales are, he'll come and ask, oh, hi, sir, what are you looking for? I'm looking for a shirt. Any specific color in mind? Yeah, I'm looking for a green. Okay. Would you want it a half sleeve or a full sleeve shirt? Are you looking for a party or are you looking for office? So what's he doing? He's trying to probe more. Now, once he's done that, he says, wow, I understood. You looking for a green shirt and this. I think this is something which makes sense for you. Would you not like to buy from him, or would you like to buy from a first one? So that's what we are doing when we are doing acknowledgement. We are summarizing whatever he said, and we make them feel heard. Do a recap with them. That's the key here right now. The third one, trust me, explore. This is the most difficult part, because here what happens is we are actually trying to identify the root cause of the problem. And how will I do that? The key out here, or the biggest weapon in my archery out there, is open-ended questions. What are the open-ended questions that I'm putting across to the client, right? Is he able to address them? You have to read between the lines. Somebody said sometime back that it's very important that you read between the lines. The problem might be something, but he's just beating about the bush. You need to pick up those things from there. Once we accurately explore the customer's true motivations, or we understand, then we move on to the next stage. But before we move on to the next stage, always ask this question: what else? Am I missing out on something? The moment he answers the last question, what else, or the last question. Trust me, that is one of the biggest barriers in moving ahead with the sale. It is always the last question. I'm sorry, it is most of the time the last question, not always the last question. We need to make sure that we are actually addressing the objection. And more importantly, how do we resonate with the client or with the customer? The last one is the respond. You remember I was talking some time back where we hear the question and we respond. Whereas it's actually the last stage. Now what happens is in the respond, follow the 80-20 again, where the tables have turned. You are talking the 80% of the time and 20% the customer is talking. From listening to responding, see how the paradigm has shifted. I think that's most important, because what you've done is you've taken the time to listen carefully. You've acknowledged the objection. You've clarified it. You've summarized it. You've explored it in detail. Now what you need to do is, now you need to connect the dots and you need to respond accordingly. And you need to bring the desired results back to their business. And you need to actually connect everything back to their business so that they get the desired result as well. That's what they are looking at right now. So this is a very difficult approach. I understand, easier said than done. मैंने आप लोग के सामने 1 घंटा इसके बारे में बात कर लिया, लेकिन I know how difficult it is to go ahead and implement it. And trust me, this layer framework that we're talking about, and this is something on a very lighter note that I'm talking about, it's not only restricted to our selling or business objections. Trust me, it works with our personal interactions, with friends, family, spouses, and more importantly, mother-in-laws as well. Yeah, so that was a little on the lighter note, right? So what has happened is that, yes, this layer has been there. We've done a lot of things. But there is one more thing which has come up. And that, what we're talking about right now is confirm, the confirmation. Trust me, this is a very crucial step where the salesperson, we need to ensure that we've not only understood the problem, the client has also agreed to and acknowledged that these are a problem for me, but he's also acknowledging with the kind of solution or the responses that I've given him. More importantly, there is a clear next step which is defined, and there is a buy-in on the timelines for each of the next step. What I personally call with my team members is the close plan that we are talking about. Close, CLOSE-PLAN, the close plan. What is the close plan? Like what I do is with my team members at times is that if you're talking about a big deal, what is the next step? Have we agreed on those next steps with the client? Do we have a buy-in from them? What is the close plan that we are talking about? What are the timelines? What are the milestones that we are talking about? When would this milestone be reached? What is the timeline for that? So I think that's another very crucial thing when it comes to confirm. I'll just take a pause and I'll give you a quick recap about what and how to approach this. So there are a couple of things which are very crucial, which we keep in mind and which will really help us. One, how do we become an active listener, right? What's our active listening skills? How well are we able to mirror the objection of my client or my prospect? How well I am able to identify the real problem or the true objection? Empathy is the key, guys. Trust me, once we've validated the concern, how do we empathize with those questions? And most importantly, we need to follow up with open-ended questions. Because we need to understand that it is very, very important that it's not just about that sale at that point in time. That sale is just an agreement that we will deliver this and you will avail this. Always remember that once that sale is done, you have to actually work with those folks. You have to work with those people so that you're able to do justice to the investment that they are making. And next year, they give you a bigger renewal, or you try and find cross-sell and upsell opportunities across the year. So there are a lot of sales objections that we keep on hearing. What I've done is I've just kind of collated some of the most common sales objections that I've been hearing. And somehow or the other, all your objections will primarily here or there fall into these buckets itself. So some of the most common sales objections that we keep on hearing is price, timing, competitor, and I'll think about it. Now, how do you make sure and you convert this yes to a no or this no to a yes? Like somebody's in a no stage, how do you bring him to a yes? Or a maybe stage to a yes or to a no? Because I personally believe that it's very important that you stay either in the black or the white. The gray area is the most difficult one, or the most tricky one, or the most dangerous one to be in, right? So either it's a yes. If it's yes, great. Let's just go ahead and close the deal. If no, at least you know that you don't have this in your pipeline. Just go ahead and remove it, right? So yeah, and this is applicable for both B2B and B2C sales as well, right? So you have that clarity. Now, just kind of touching upon each one of them. Price is one of the major issues or objection that we keep on hearing, right? What do we say? Your price is too high, right? Then it's things like how do you actually determine whether pricing is the real objection or not? Or how can you actually overcome that? That can only be overcome by the kind of research that we've done and the kind of open communication that we are having with him, or the kind of conversations that we are having with him. Trust me, guys, take this as a line from the Bible of sales, that never indulge yourself into price war or into pricing discussions only. You will lose. It will become like what I always keep on saying is that when it comes to negotiation, it should always be an engine and a bogie, where you should be the engine and the client should be the bogie, and not vice versa. Because he should not be the one who should take you here and there. It should be you who should be driving the conversation. You should have the complete control. You should have the complete command over what is being discussed and how is it being discussed. So my only advice to you guys would be is, please divert the conversation away from pricing. Ask questions like, if I meet or if I match your pricing, right, will you go ahead and sign? Either he'll say a yes or no. But your objective of that question is to understand if you are matching his pricing, does he have the intent to buy, or is there any other apprehension that he has that you need to still address, right? Ask him a question like, why do you feel this price is high, and it is high compared to what? He will open up and say, oh, this is higher than this, or because of this kind of a thing, right? And ask him a question like, besides pricing, is there any other concerns that you have? Let him open up. What you're doing by asking these kind of probing questions is you are asking the client to open up, and then you're opening up inroads for yourself to actually potentially identify some other concerns which you've not yet addressed for him. And that is why the sale is not happening. Talk about things like, what do you say? How do you put across that? Communicate kind of things like, what is the value of the solution that you're bringing on the table in the whole process. Second, if you even want to drop the price, that's absolutely okay. It's absolutely okay to drop the price, but do not drop the price drastically, because then he knows that there is still scope for more, because you know there is scope for more. Take some time. That's absolutely okay. Tell him that, hey, trust me, I've done everything possible. But having said that, to have a confirmation from you that if I get you a better pricing, you will end up signing on the dotted lines. Will you do with that? Take that buy-in, take that confirmation, because you need to tell him that I have to go back internally and I have to fight your case. Even though you're doing nothing, you know that you have the approval to do that. But what you're doing is you're making him feel important. He starts feeling that, boss, this guy is going the distance for me, or this lady is going the distance for me. Right? Always make sure that you maintain that peer relationship. What do you mean by peer relationship? Is that he should not feel that if, say, for example, Isha or Yogesh or Rishabh or Rizwana, that if I speak to your bosses, I will get a better pricing. Because what you're doing there is that you're diluting your position, your aura that you've created around him. You're completely diluting your position. Because next time around, he knows that if I speak to Isha or Yogesh or Rishabh or Rizwana, or as a matter of fact, Varun, he will give me a price of 10 rupees or she will give me a price of 10 rupees. But if I go back to their boss, I will get it at 8. So what you're doing is you are losing that connect and you're losing that peer relationship with him. And most important, you need to make sure that you know the buying process internally and you're speaking with the final decision maker, somebody who can sign on the dotted lines and somebody who can issue you the check. Because if you're not, this sale will never happen. Because you don't even know whether this person has the authority or he needs some more approvals. Next that we're talking about is the kind of timing, right? We keep on hearing a lot of it, like, I'm really keen to partner with you, but trust me, let's connect down 1 quarter down the line. Let's connect 6 months down the line. Let's connect in 2024. We keep hearing this. Very common objection. What you need to do is you need to take a step back and you need to actually introspect and ask yourself, what have you missed that he is compelled to tell you this? Because that is just an excuse. The true objection that the prospect is trying to tell you, you will have to probe better. You've not done a great job in probing. There is still that last mile that you need to go to or that you need to travel before he tells you the real reason. Try and build that urgency, build the sense of urgency with the client. Talk about the immediate effect and the loss of not implementing. Talk about the effect or talk about the benefits, the cost benefit analysis or the ROI that he's getting when he implements it now vis-a-vis when he implements it 6 months down the line. What is he losing out on? It's not only time, it's not only cost, but if he's investing 10 rupees with me, give him a cost benefit analysis of how he's making 20 rupees by making his people more efficient, by making his processes more efficient. I think that's something where you need to, and all this while, I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm just trying to give him more perspective. You're giving him food for thought. And what is our favorite that we all have done in our sales careers is, sir, ये pricing तो मैं बोल रहा हूं, इस month के बाद, इस quarter के बाद आपको मिलना ही नहीं है. सर, अगले साल तो मेरा rack rate change होने ही वाला है. सर, अभी कर लो, मैं आपको बोल दे रहा हूं, ये price मिलना ही नहीं है आपको. We all have done that. I've done that.
100% agreed. 100%.
I've done that. Right? What are we doing? We're just instilling fear in him. Right? Some fall into that trap. Some will say, सुनो, ऐसा है, मैंने आपके कंपटीशन के साथ, आपकी कंपनी के साथ बहुत बार काम किया हुआ है. तुम अगले हफ्ते भी आके मुझे प्राइस दोगे, तुम्हारा 31st हो, तुम्हारा 6 तारीख हो, या तुम्हारा साल बदल जाए, तुम फिर भी मुझे दोगे. But what you're doing is you're at least trying. And कोशिश करने वालों की हार नहीं होती. You'll knock 10 doors at least two will open. It's just about the client is ready, but he just needs that push, or she needs that just that push. How do we do that? I think these are some of the ways uh, by which you can actually go ahead and do that, right? Now, what happens is the next one that we're talking about is competitor, right? Now, competition is great news for your business. Trust me, it's great news for your business. Why? Because one, if he says that I'm already using your competition, right? That means you're talking to someone who has a need for your offering. Don't take it as a setback. अरे यार, यहाँ भी वो पहुंच गए, यहाँ भी वो बेच रहे हैं, यार मैं लेट हो गया आने में. Or second would be that, hey, we are exploring, but your competition is getting me a better deal, or they have some better features. Even this is a good sign, because you're talking to someone who is in an exploration stage, or someone who is already using your competition. So that means it's an opportunity for you. Don't take this as a setback, but take this as an opportunity and leverage on that. Because you're most definitely in contention for the prospect's business, because they are not somebody who's just kind of window shopping, but they are someone who is your prospective buyer. And one more thing, which I always tell my sales team members, whenever you hear competition's name, always do one thing: acknowledge the competition, give them and show them the due respect. Oh, great, you're using Naukri. For example, if I'm selling Monster, great, you're using Naukri. Great tool, I understand and everything. Never tell them that, oh, आप Naukri use कर रहे हो, मेरे पास ये है, उनसे बेहतर है, ये बेहतर है, वो बेहतर है. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. It doesn't sail through, right? Just acknowledge it, show them the due respect, and never bring them down. Talk about how you are different from them. Talk about what is the USP. Talk about why should they even explore you. Talk about what value you are bringing on the table vis-a-vis competition. Talk about things like how your clients' competitors have actually switched from competition to you, and what value you have been able to deliver, how they have benefited. Talk about how you, in sync with your competition, together are delivering value for some of your clients. Talk about these use cases. Talk about these success stories. Talk about these wins. Talk about how and why you should consider them, or why you should be considered by the client as well. I think when you start doing this, what you're doing is you're building a rapport, you're building a connect, you're expecting your client to open up, and you're expecting some more information coming your way. And last but not the least, you always hear that, allow me some time, let me think about it. So at that point in time is, you just need to ask one thing. You've done the demo, you've been following up, you've done the free trial, you've shown him or her everything, you've done everything possible, but he still says, oh, I need to think about it. You've had multi-layers of meeting, your CEO has gone and met their CEO, pitched their services, everyone's done that and everything of that sort, but it's still saying we need some time. Just ask one question. Which aspect of the whole conversation or the presentation are you having a concern with? Or are you having some second thoughts about? Or what is stopping you that I can address? Leave aside the sale. Let it happen or not happen, leave aside. I want you to, I want to understand myself that what is something that I was not able to address. It's only for my learning, and that's absolutely okay. Because you've kept aside that selling object aside. You're not, because you've taken it out of the mind from the customer that I'm not here to sell. I'm trying to understand which part of the problem I have not been able to do complete justice to. Ask him that, hey, if you want to involve some other stakeholders, some other decision makers, don't use the word decision maker, because then that means that he starts feeling that uh, he's not the one who's going to take the call. But try and ask him, if you want to involve some other stakeholders, you want to involve some end users, people who would be using it, and I can go ahead and address those queries. I'm more than happy to do that. We can definitely do that. Leave aside the sale. Sale happens or not happens is secondary. But for me, it's more important that I make sure that I do complete justice to your queries, to your concerns, and post that whatever you decide, I'm absolutely okay with that. You want to go ahead with us? Brilliant. Even if not, I take this as a feedback and I'll come back stronger to next time around. I think it's absolutely okay to say that. And once you get that buy-in of what the concern is, start creating that urgency. Start talking about the next steps. Start talking about the commitments. And then you will get to know that whether you should even pursue this deal or throw it out of the window, or you still have a shot at that deal. But let's keep calm. We all can handle any objection that comes our way. There are people who take this up as a passion. They want to, first thing first, always remember, since you're new in sales, yes, it's very important that you hit your numbers, pressure rahenge and all that. But the most important thing is always remember, what is the problem that you're solving for your customer? How are you solving that problem for the customer? What is the value addition that you're bringing on the table for the customer? आप क्या value add कर पा रहे हो उसके लिए? जब तक आप उसके लिए, आप उसके साथ कैसे कनेक्ट करते हो, आप उसके साथ कैसे रिलेशनशिप बनाते हो, आप उसके साथ कैसे रैपो बनाते हो, आई थिंक ये सारी चीजों पे आपको ध्यान देना चाहिए. बिकॉज जब तक आप उस बंदे के साथ या उस बायर के साथ आप कनेक्ट नहीं करोगे, आप वो कभी खुल के आपको चीजें नहीं बताएगा. राइट? कनेक्ट का मतलब ये नहीं पूछना कि आज तुम्हारे घर में लंच पे क्या बना हुआ है या तुमने कल डिनर में क्या खाया, नहीं, वो नहीं पूछना है आपको. बस सिंपल कि आपकी कंपनी में क्या चल रहा है, आप लोग का प्लान क्या है, आप क्या करना चाह रहे हो नेक्स्ट. आपकी कंपनी में मैंने पढ़ा था आपकी कंपनी में ये हो रहा है, आपकी इंडस्ट्री में ये हो रहा है. जब आप उसकी लैंग्वेज बोलना शुरू करोगे, तभी आप वो कनेक्ट बना पाओगे. और जब आप वो कनेक्ट बनाओगे, वो खुलेगा आपके सामने, वो बताएगा आपको चीजें कि उसकी कंपनी में क्या चल रहा है, उसकी कंपनी अगले 1 साल 2 साल 5 साल में क्या करने वाली है. जब तक आप वो कनेक्ट नहीं बना पाओगे, आप कभी वो सेल नहीं कर पाओगे. शायद वो कर भी दो, क्योंकि उसकी नीड होगी कि उसको आपकी कंपनी से कुछ ना कुछ खरीदना है, तो वो शायद आपको कुछ छोटा सा ऑर्डर दे दे. लेकिन आप कभी भी उस अकाउंट का पोटेंशियल नहीं कर पाओगे. यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू, जिसको इंग्लिश में कहते हैं, यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू डू कंप्लीट जस्टिस टू द पोटेंशियल ऑफ द अकाउंट. वो कंपनी आपको शायद 1 करोड़ दे सकती है, लेकिन आपने सिर्फ उनसे 5 लाख रुपए ले लिया, क्योंकि उसको सिर्फ वो 5 लाख रुपए वाले की जरूरत थी सब चीज की आपके से. बिकॉज आपने उतना कनेक्ट ही नहीं बैठाया, वो रिलेशनशिप नहीं बिल्ड किया, वो रैपो नहीं बिल्ड किया, वो कनेक्ट नहीं किया, आप उस लेवल तक नहीं आए कि ही शुड गिव यू दोज इंफॉर्मेशन. सो आई थिंक दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. अगर आप ये रखोगे दिमाग में कि मेरे को ये होना है, ये 3-4 चीजों का ध्यान देना है, आई अश्योर यू, यू विल बी अ वेरी सक्सेसफुल सेल्स पर्सन. अप्स एंड डाउन आएंगे, बट यू विल बी लर्निंग एवरी डे. सेकेंड, एक और चीज, लर्निंग पे ध्यान दीजिए, अर्निंग अपने आप आ जाएगी. खाली अर्निंग पे ध्यान देंगे तो शायद अभी तो अर्निंग हो जाएगी, लेकिन लॉन्ग रन में आपकी अर्निंग एक पॉइंट पे जाके रुक जाएगी. इसलिए इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप यू लर्न समथिंग न्यू एवरी डे. एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, जब आपका दिन खत्म हो ऑफिस का, जब आप मिरर में देखो अपने आप को, आस्क योरसेल्फ दैट क्वेश्चन कि कल से मैं आज कितना बेहतर हुआ हूं, आज मेरे में क्या एडिशन हुआ है. So it's great that you know that this product is not a good fit and it's not going to solve his problem, right? Let's not become those जिसको शुद्ध हिंदी भाषा में कहते हैं the चेपू sales वाले, चेप दी और निकल लिए. Let's not do that. Because what you're doing is you're creating two problems for yourself. One for the business and one for yourself. Because when you know that this product is not going to work at all, right? Just be very honest and tell them. Even though he might feel that it's a good fit, just be honest and tell them that, hey, I know this is it, but trust me, this product is currently in kind of a beta version, or you can say that it's not evolved that much that I feel it can add value back to the business. Your client is going to appreciate your honesty. And you're building that connect with him. Knowingly, unknowingly, you're building that connect with him. Second, and as I said, if you just sell and say, "Meri to sale ho gayi, I got my $20,000, my commission check will be ready for this sale, mere to paise aa rahe hain." If you think that ways, you're doing two problems. One, you know it's not going to solve the customer's problem. One, when he has a genuine need, when he actually needs your other offerings, he will never come back to you because he feels that you've not done justice to him. That's a revenue loss for your organization. Second, you lose that trust with that customer and he is not going to recommend you anywhere because at the end of the day, he's not going to stick in that organization for years. He might move to a different organization where you might be at a stage where you are negotiating, you're on your paperwork, SLAs are there, agreements are being signed, but he's just moved in and he comes to know about your company and he comes to know about you. He might just say, "Hey boss, I don't approve of this. I've had a bad experience. These folks talk about this, these folks do about that." You're losing another revenue for yourself and the organization as well. So rather be honest, be candid. I know at times it's difficult for us, but we can be honest to the maximum limit. That's all I can say right now. I've met so many customers who love talking, who love meeting vendors. Their job is meet vendors as many as possible, right? And that is why I think one of the query had come up initially where he said that the customers are meeting so many vendors that they know what is available in the market. They're just calling vendors over, "Tumao meko demo dikhao, show me a demo of this, show me a demo of that," right? And then what happens is their expectations are that that product has 2-3 things which are wow. This product has 2 things which are wow. And these are different wow experiences which he's getting. Then when you go to him, his expectation is that he has already seen those 3 things in that product. He's seen 2 things in those products. He starts expecting to have those things in your offering as well. And then he starts talking because that's his job. He's in the market. He's evaluating a lot of things. So at that point in time, they love talking. Let them talk. That's absolutely okay. Because here comes those listening skills, because there he will put in his problem statement. Because if you interrupt him or do that, what you're doing is, one, he might not like it, he might not say it, because I know a few customers which I did that and I've never been able to crack them for the last 4-5 years, right? So it's very important that we hear out, because he will give his problem statement out in that conversation itself. In the layer model, when we were talking about explore, as I said, what you need to focus upon is, what we are doing in this stage is we are trying to get deeper into the problem statement, and we're trying to actually analyze the root cause of the problem. How do we do that? We try and ask those open-ended questions to them. So what is happening is, this is basically the discovery phase where you pay attention to what and how the things are being said to you. Simultaneously, in the back of your mind, you will need to, what I say is, you need to keep reframing, or you need to keep framing the answers parallelly, so that when you start speaking to him, to your prospect in the response stage, is that so that he is able to resonate, or he's able to connect with you. So that's the exploration stage that we are talking about, right? And it's usually in the last that we say that, uh, is there anything else before I start addressing them? Right? So that else will actually at times give you the real last mile uh, problem that they're talking about.